Hey, friends, people often ask me, how do you get a professional mix if you're not mixing in a professional mix environment? And I'll tell you the truth, I have never had the perfect mixing environment. But in spite of that, I've mixed dozens and dozens of major label records and thousands of television cues and multimedia cues. You don't need a perfectly treated room to get a great mix. And I'm going to give you those tips that will help you right now. Position yourself lengthwise in the room. Think of your room front to back in three parts. Cut it in thirds. You want to be sitting, your body wants to be right about 33% into that room. Okay, so if you're front to back, divide your room into three, you want to be sitting center of that wall about 33% in. You're going to want to make sure that you leave some space between your desk and the wall. Don't push your desk straight up against the wall. You want to make sure that you also position your speakers correctly, and you want them at ear height, positioned in like a triangle where the tip of the triangle would hit the center of the wall behind your head. So basically sitting at ear level, pointed in at your ears. You also want to put something under your speakers. If you know, there's all kinds of different speaker foam things that you can buy. If you don't have that, you can even use a thick book. You just want to make sure they're level, not sitting directly on the desk, and that they're positioned correctly. You can utilize some temporary crude treatments if you want to, blankets, pillows, things like that. I don't love doing that. It doesn't look great. I might have done it way, way back in the day. I don't know. But if you're going to do that, focus on the corners and the walls. Heavy blankets, heavy pillows in the corner. You can utilize that stuff if you don't have access to any soundproofing. Any inexpensive soundproofing is going to work well. And there's actually some sites on Amazon that have some pretty good sound dampening products that are not super expensive. I've got some stuff up here on my walls. I've used Oralex, which is not great, but it's better than nothing. So any kind of heavy packing blankets, any kind of foam, if you can keep that on the walls, especially behind your speakers, if you could put something behind your speakers on that wall, that will also help a lot. This next tip is important too. You want to monitor at pretty low levels. You don't want to crank up the speakers super loud because that's going to create reflections that are going to bounce all around the room. So you're going to want to monitor at nice, comfortable levels. And if you have a monitor controller where you can switch to mono, it's a great idea to put your session in mono and mix at a low volume for a while. That way you can really hear the balance of things. But overall, the most important thing is that you're not cranking the speakers super loud, because that's just going to make stuff bounce around in an untreated room. You're going to create problems for yourself. So keep the volume at a very comfortable level. Like I stated previously, I have never had a perfect room to mix in. I've had to learn learn that, well, if I'm hearing this in the mix, I know that I need a little bit more of, high mids or lows, whatever. Whatever the case may be, listen to well mixed commercial mixes in your room at the same volume that you're mixing. Go back and forth and listen to them, and listen for the differences in what's happening, and use EQ to compensate for that stuff. It's a trial and error process. You can't expect it's going to be great right off the bat, but if you follow these guidelines, you're going to have much better results. Use headphones. Here's a caveat though. You got to use good headphones. There are some great headphones out there for mixing. They're not cheap, but they are cheaper than, completely building out a room and making it sonically and acoustically perfect. I've used a variety of things, AKG 702s, I believe they are, the big headphones. Those have been great for mixing. And I also, a few years ago, I got the Slate VSX headphones. And this is not a sponsored video. Slate didn't give me those headphones. I bought them with my own money. And they truly have been game changing. If you haven't checked these out, they allow you to simulate different room environments, everything from the biggest and best commercial studios and studio monitors to AirPods and everything in between. And I highly recommend them if you're not mixing in an ideal environment. They're also great if you're traveling. I mean, you can be in a hotel room or a coffee shop or anywhere and really dial in your mixes. They're pretty incredible. And again, not sponsored. I bought them myself and I would recommend them to anybody. If you can afford to invest in some sound treatments, just focus on wall panels and bass traps. There's a variety of inexpensive options out there. They'll help a lot. That's where I would start. If you're in a spare room or something like that, that will do a lot to really dampen the sound, control the bass, and give you a more realistic picture of what's actually happening. Practice and adapt. It's a process. But the more you mix in that room, the more you listen to other references as you go back and forth, you'll start to realize, okay, this is where I need to tweak my mixes. This is where my room lacks. That's all you have to do. It's trial and error and practice and adapt. You will learn your room's quirks over time. I hope you enjoyed these tips. Thanks for watching the video. Please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. Be good and make music.